And so anyway, they did that thing. And so then they used the freehold land of the South, as they called it, as the surety for the second period of bankruptcy. Now, they did not pay, and they had no intention of paying off the debt because they wanted to continue on in bankruptcy. Approximately in 1871, there was a new corporation that was formed, and it was called the United States. I can't get it right here. In this new corporation, what they did, they went into Washington, D.C. and combined, at that time there were 5 separate jurisdictions in Washington, D.C. And so they combined all those 5 into one. And so from that, they started a new corporation to assume the debt and so forth and so on. Well, they did a poor job of it, as you can imagine, because by 1903, it was obvious to the European bankers that the new corporation could not or would not pay the debt. And so by 1913, they came out with something known as Federal Reserve Act. Now, the purpose of the Federal Reserve Act was to do what? Well, it was kind of to enslave the people, but they were still trying to deal with the bankruptcy. Now, under the international law, if the people in the United States did not object to the Federal Reserve Act, it became law. So in 1933, now we have the Federal Reserve Act as law, and the Federal Reserve came in. 1933 is when they got rid of the gold, so they could not use it for commerce. They went into a fiat currency. Now, about this same period of time, let's add on another 70 years here. So we add on another 70 years to this period, and we come up with 1929. 1929, the Europeans crashed the stock market in the United States and caused an artificial depression to force the people into this mold they were trying to create. Now, inadvertently, or by design, I'm not quite sure which one, they went into the third period of bankruptcy, and what did they use in that bankruptcy as the surety? The people. The movable dirt. That's what you are, because it is mentioned that there's deeds that are let on this. Because this is considered movable dirt. It gets up and walks around a little bit, that's all it is, but it's made out of dirt. Yep. So, for this period of bankruptcy right here, it was the people. As the surety. Now, that's why I say inadvertently or on purpose, I'm not quite sure which one it was. But there is a principle in the Old Testament that was adhered to by the Anglo people, which was the principle of slavery. Slavery is this, that if you cannot pay your debt, you can go into slavery and basically work it off. Slavery, do not confuse slavery with involuntary servitude. The African people here who were all in North America were not here under slavery. They were here under involuntary servitude and peonage. Because you have to go into slavery voluntarily. It's not by conquest. And so, the people in the 50 states down there in Lower Canada went into slavery by their permission. Now, it is true they did so in ignorance. They did so in ignorance. However, it appears that the purposes of God were taken care of in this matter, because after the 70 years of slavery, the debt was paid. So if you'll add 70 on to 1929, you come up to 1999. Specifically, I believe it was November the 6th. I think. I can't verify that, but I think it was November the 6th. When the slavery and the bankruptcy was over with. Now, what does this mean to you or to the people there? It means that they can no longer be held as surety for the original debt that was incurred with the East India Trading Company. If the people decide that they do not want to operate in bankruptcy any longer, they do not have to do so. And in your country, I believe it's the same thing. The dates might be varied just a little bit, but it's the same principles involved here. At the moment that you decide that you no longer want to be held into the bankruptcy, you can simply come out. And that is what I did. I am not a slave. Because by my labor, I paid for the debt that was originally incurred way back when. So we've spent a good deal of time, not just myself, but many others, who've been going around and teaching various concepts and so forth about what we call commercial redemption, to demonstrate how that you can come out of the bondage that you have previously experienced. Now, you do not have to come out if you do not want to. Most of the people in America, the United States, and so forth, have decided that they will stay in bankruptcy for whatever reason. Maybe it's more convenient or whatever. I'm not quite sure of the thing. But the issue is that you cannot be held in bankruptcy if you decide to come out of it. And so the techniques and the technology and so forth that we've been talking about here and in other seminars and so forth, we have tried to give you the tools, the technology, the knowledge, perhaps the desire to come away from what you've had to deal with in the past. And so most of the questions and most of the situations that we have addressed for the last, how long has it been? Well, Max was there. First seminar we did up in Seattle is in November of 2004. And since that time, we've had a chance to visit around across the United States and into some other foreign countries. We actually went to Australia, New Zealand, took the good word down there. But what we've been trying to teach people is how to come out of debt. In order to say you're free, you cannot have a lien against you. We start talking about unalienable rights. How can you exist in an unalienable right when you have a debt against it? And so most of the questions and conversations we had for the last 3 years is to try to demonstrate to people how it is that you can come out from under debt. Remember I tell the funny story, I went to the doctor one time and I said, "Doc, every time I do this, it hurts." The doctor said, "Don't do that." And so it's the same thing. I go down to the bank and I say, "Hey, every time I go into debt, it hurts." The banker said, "What?" "Don't go into debt." Now, I have practiced this in my life as far as I'm able to do. I mean, I've been in debt probably at least 2 or 3 times. And every time I get in debt, I hate it. I can't live with myself as long as I'm in debt. It absolutely drives me up a wall. And so I'm sure it does the same thing for many of the people here. So we're trying to learn how to exist in a society that their whole currency and their whole economics is based upon debt, trying to learn how to avoid the consequences of those things. And so all the technology that we're given to you, not just today, but all the stuff we've done in the past, is try to give you tools and remedies so that you can alleviate the debt.